Hey there folks, how you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. Please bear with any background racket that you might hear throughout this production. Also, it's very hot out here. I've got the air handler turned off so you can actually hear me. I'm going to try to keep this short. In that, I'm not going to be doing too many retakes if I stumble over words or so on and so forth. So just bear with that and we'll move on. Also, this is going to be one of those videos where more or less I sit here and talk. There might be some action scenes incorporated into it, but for the most part, this is an in-depth discussion concerning the Taurus GX4, which is this pistol that we have right here. Borrowed that pin from my uncle. As you can see here, this is a safe and empty weapon. There's no ammunition in the magazine. There's no ammunition out here in our workspace. It's going to stay that way, and yes, I do this on each and every video, and it drives some of you nuts, and I really don't care. Before we go any further, and while it has nothing to do with this particular handgun, it does apply to the topic that we're discussing today, and that is, this channel has a sponsor that is Crimson Trace. Most folks don't realize that Crimson Trace offers a full line of quality accessories for the firearm industry. If you are one of those folks, take a moment to listen to this word from our sponsor. If you are watching this, then you probably know that Crimson Trace has a long and reputable history producing quality laser products for the firearms industry, such as the LS250 laser saddle shown here on the Mossberg Shockwave. But did you know they now have a full line of quality accessories to include both red and green laser sights, tactical lights, electronic sights, and rifle scopes to rival other premium brands on the market today? From the novice outdoorsman to the tactical professional, Crimson Trace offers a wide range of budget-friendly to premium rifle scopes to meet your operational needs. All Crimson Trace products are backed by their no-hassle limited lifetime warranty. Check them out now and use promo code J10 to save 10% off your next purchase. So the Taurus GX4 is an old friend here on the channel. We've done several videos on it. In fact, I would argue I've probably done just about as many videos on the GX4 as anybody else has. There might be some exception to that, but for the most part, it's well documented. We have several videos on our channel that we have done on this pistol. I did a 1-year review on it a year ago, and this is more or less to kind of clean that up and reinforce some of the stuff that we pretty much already had figured out back then. So consider this a talking points of the best of for the pistol. I purchased this one right after they came out. I paid full retail, I think $420 for it. You can get them for about half that price now, but even paying let me try that in English. Even paying full retail, it was a fantastic deal. So the Taurus GX4, the SIG P365, and the Springfield Hellcat are all about the same size. They all hold about the same number of rounds, which is at least 10+1. There are certainly other micro 9s like the Shield Plus or the Kimber R7 Mako. They're just really not micro 9s. If you put it in perspective, if you put them side by side, they're not the same size, folks. And with very few exceptions, they all serve the same purpose. Now, I purchased this pistol at full retail because I was so impressed with the G3 line of pistols, the G3C, the full-size G3. They really were a evolution, a move in the right direction beyond the old Taurus G2 Millennium platform. They kind of refined things with them a little bit, and the GX4 is even better. This was a new from the ground up pistol. Somebody told me, and I have no reason to doubt it, however I have not verified it myself, that somebody from Walther actually came to Taurus and worked on the development of this, and it kind of shows in the quality of the pistol. So let's move on beyond that and let's talk about what is a micro 9. A micro 9 is a little bitty 3-inch barreled, 1-inch thick, 9mm pistol that holds at least 10+1 rounds. And in order to have one of this size with that capacity, they're not fun to shoot. They're snappy. They're hard to hold on to. A lot of people put a base plate extension or an extended magazine on them. Or in the case of the SIG P365, you can get an X frame, which is a little bit longer, but that defeats the purpose of having this small handgun. Now, there are certainly other handguns that are smaller than this one, but they don't meet all the same criteria. So we're talking strictly about 10+1 capacity micro 9.9mm of this size. Because they are so hard to hold on to, I cannot overemphasize you need to practice with them to be proficient. It's not quite as simple as like picking up a Glock 19 and shooting it well the first time. Let me see here where I'm at on my notes. All right, let's see. Some of you may remember the video I did on the 15-round extension for the GX4. I did that based on viewers wanting to see it. I really didn't feel a need to do it otherwise, but I did. That item was a catastrophic failure. Lakeline LLC has since removed it from their product line. It just didn't work as intended. It was a 3D printed part, and I personally, this is just me, you might feel differently about it, but I personally think 3D printed parts have no business on a firearm that you're risking your life on. I'm going to stand by that. Let me see here. Some of you may remember that we tried out 2 different holsters with this pistol. The UM Tactical holster, which was really the first holster available for the pistol. I bought it back in May of 2021. It was okay. It wasn't great. Some of you have them and you love them, and you've told me that time and time again in the comments. That's cool. The CYA holster is the one that I normally carry this pistol in. Back in November of last year, based on some noisy comments that we had floating around about unreliable GX4s and problems with them, I posted a poll on the channel. 94% of you said you'd never had any kind of issue with your GX4. Since then, I've heard of several issues with the GX4 over the past couple of years since it came out. Most recently, there has been noise of a recall for the drop safety on the pistols. I checked this one twice, once when it first came out, again a few days later when they said they had added some serial numbers. Both times this one was good to go, so I've left it alone at that. I am sure some of you remember the early video of the guy who said that he pulled the trigger, it didn't go off, he tried to stick it back in his inside the waistband holster, nearly blew his junk off, and he blamed the pistol for it. By his own admission, he was new to the firearms world, and I mention that again here today because as I look back through the comments on these videos that have been out for the past 2 years now, which have more views than anything else on this channel, very often in the comments section, when I'm reading through them, there will be something in the comment that indicates that it's either the person's first gun or they're new to defensive handguns, so on and so forth, and then they will illustrate the problem that they hit. Understand this. I'm not saying that there's not problems with the Taurus GX4. There's growing pains with all models. The Hellcats had them, the SIG P365 has had them, Glocks have had issues in the past. There's certainly to be expected with a mechanical device the chance of mechanical failure. However, I mentioned this before, I'm standing by it. A pistol like this, a Micro 9, something this small, really is not a good choice for a first-time gun buyer. It's not a good choice for somebody who does not have at least some training and experience handling firearms. I've mentioned that before, and I say it again because the Taurus GX4 is not particularly easy to shoot, although it does have a very good trigger, and for what it is very good. A pistol like this should not be the first choice of somebody who does not have any experience with a handgun. I'll preface that by saying, if this is your first choice for a handgun, be sure that you have at least some level of training with it to overcome some of the obstacles that can be associated with carrying a handgun this small. Concerning problems with the GX4, I'll give this blanket statement. While there are some documented cases of issues with the pistol, firing pin drag causing broken firing pins, some trigger related issues, some failures to feed, so on and so forth, there have been some legitimate issues, but a great many of the issues that occur with it are due to user error, and a lot of that is due to lack of training of the individual. Again, that certainly does not apply to 95% of you, but there are those amongst you, there are those that have purchased this pistol because they saw it at Academy, for $300 with a $50 rebate. There are folks out there that own one of these that lack experience handling and manipulating firearms. Now, when compared with other Micro 9 pistols, I would say the Taurus GX4 is in the runnings with any of them. I think the SIG P365 is the best one for me. The Springfield Hellcat is no slouch. However, I don't prefer the grip angle or the company or their politics behind it. So I'm going to rule that one out for me personally. Your mileage may vary, but the GX4 is definitely on par with those two. It is not as easy to shoot as a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus or a Kimber R7 Mako. Those are both much easier to shoot. However, that comes at a cost. The R7 Mako is literally larger than a Glock 26. So take that for what it's worth. My biggest critique of the Taurus GX4 was the fact that it did not come from the factory with night sights. When you're carrying a handgun for defensive purposes, you need to be able to positively identify your targets in less than ideal circumstances, which could include at night or in low light situations. Night sights are a must on a pistol that you're carrying for defensive purposes, at least in my opinion. If I had to assign a numerical score to the Taurus GX4, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. This particular pistol has served me extremely well over the past couple of years. At the end of the 1-year review, I had estimated somewhere between 15 and 1,800 rounds fired through the pistol. I have probably fired 400 or 500 more through it since then, and I still have 0 failures with the Taurus GX4. So I realize we didn't really cover anything new on this video, but I did kind of want to rehash some of the previous thoughts about it and just get y'all up to date that the pistol has still maintained its integrity and served me well for an additional year past that last video that we did with it. If you have one of these and it has served you well for an extended period of time, I'd like to hear about it in the comment section below. If you have something negative to say about the GX4, I'd ask that you speak from first-hand experience and not hearsay. Otherwise, thanks for watching, take care, and God bless.